I'm Jerika Duncan. Here's what's happening right now. The Pentagon places hundreds of troops on alert for possible deployment to Minnesota. The massive ICE crackdown turning the Twin Cities into a tinderbox. Neighbors mobilizing to help and protect each other.
I don't see ICE going after criminals. I see ICE going after parents of children in my community.
I'm Ian Lee in Minneapolis, where tensions are intensifying as the Trump administration considers a surge of active duty soldiers here.
Also tonight, Greenland aggression. Europe unites against the U.S., long its closest ally, suddenly one of its biggest threats.
The only security threat to Greenland right now is the United States.
1 year after his second inauguration, Donald Trump has been impossible to miss.
I'm Willie James Inman, traveling with the president in West Palm Beach, Florida, with new CBS News polling tonight. 1 year into President Trump's second term, what Americans think about his actions in Minnesota and Greenland.
New snow, freezing cold, flurries as far south as Florida. We'll have the forecast. All that, plus a long-awaited return. Native Americans welcome back bison to the Illinois prairie after nearly 200 years.
This is the CBS Weekend News from New York with Jerika Duncan.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Sunday. We are following several developing stories tonight. First, outrage in Europe over the president's threat to take Greenland. And here at home, the Pentagon now poised to send troops into Minnesota to crack down on protests over the administration's massive ICE immigration raids. So how do Americans feel about it all? A CBS News poll just out shows voters have strong opinions about Trump's plan to annex Greenland. Just 14% approve, 86% disapprove. On immigration enforcement, that poll shows 52% feel ICE is making communities less safe. 31% say they feel more safe with ICE, and 17% report no change. CBS's Ian Lee is in Minnesota and leads us off tonight. Ian.
Jerika, this ICE detention center behind me has been a flashpoint for weeks, pitting federal agents against protesters. And as tensions remain, we soon could see troops on the streets of Minnesota. ICE out now! Today, freezing temperatures and snow did not stop fiery protests against the immigration crackdown in Minnesota. Federal agents here now numbering roughly 3,000. This weekend, protesters confronted and drove out a smaller group supporting the surge of ICE agents. Minnesota's governor has mobilized the state's National Guard. If deployed, troops say they'll wear yellow vests to distinguish themselves, but they could be federalized. Today, the U.S. military posted this video of the Minnesota National Guard preparing for deployment, and a U.S. defense official confirmed to CBS News soldiers with the 11th Airborne Unit based in Fairbanks, Alaska, are on standby. The troops highly trained for battle in cold weather extremes. Fighting back, residents, some mobilizing to help and protect their neighbors who fear arrest.
I see ICE going after parents of children in my community.
We rode along with Jennifer Arnold. She organizes and helps gather food from a secret distribution point, a neighbor's garage, then delivers it and other crucial supplies to immigrant families in hiding.
This week, we sent food out to over 40 families. I'm just worried about the people we're missing.
This woman and her family rely on Arnold. What would happen if you didn't have this support?
Nos viéramos muy mal.
She says it would be very bad because we wouldn't have anything to eat. They've stayed inside their home for weeks. You imprisoned yourself in your own home for your own safety.
Sí.
Yes, she says, we have to talk in whispers so they don't hear us outside. And that's just one of hundreds of families who are told living in fear that one day ICE could knock on their door. Jerika?
All right, Ian Lee in a very windy Minnesota, thank you. Now to fast-rising tensions over President Trump's demand that the United States annex Greenland. CBS's Lee Canary at our London bureau has new reporting on the controversy.
EU countries held an emergency meeting in Brussels today and released a statement. They said tariff threats undermine transatlantic relations and risk a dangerous downward spiral. There's consensus in the territory of 57,000 people. They're saying land of the Greenlanders. And their hats say something too. This weekend saw the largest protest Greenland's ever had, its prime minister said. Recent polls show about 85% oppose joining the United States. That was before President Trump threatened up to 25% tariffs on 8 European countries, until the U.S. is allowed to purchase this Arctic land.
There is a red line, and that red line was shown today. We are not for sale.
The Kingdom of Denmark has ruled and protected Greenland for about 300 years. Last week, NATO troops deployed there for military exercises. Denmark's prime minister said she's supported by allies, saying Europe will not be blackmailed. Allies like France's President Macron, who requested the European Union retaliate with a so-called trade bazooka. President Trump explained why he's doing this in a post, saying China and Russia want Greenland, and the U.S. acquiring it is essential for the Golden Dome, a weapons system in early development. But Danish politician Rasmus Jarlov said America already has full access to the territory.
They wouldn't gain anything that they don't already have.
Do you feel that the security provided at the moment is sufficient to fight adversaries like China or Russia?
We have kept China and Russia completely out of Greenland. They have nothing there, no activities, no mining, no consulates. Greenland is not in danger of being taken over by neither Russia or China. It's only the United States that is a threat to Greenland right now.
Britain's prime minister also spoke to President Trump today and told him applying tariffs in this way is wrong. Jerika, the president will see many of these European leaders face-to-face in Switzerland later this week.
Lee Canary in London, thank you. This week marks 1 year since President Trump's second inauguration. Tonight, that new CBS poll shows 41% of Americans approve of the job he's doing, but a majority do not. CBS's Willie James Edmond in West Palm Beach with more on what the polling shows. Willie James.
Good evening to you, Jerika. That new CBS News polling also shows a majority of Americans believe the president's policies will lead to a decrease in peace and stability around the world.
The only security threat to Greenland right now is the United States.
Congress is pushing back against the president's plan to obtain Greenland.
Presidential want doesn't translate into presidential authority. I think people would prefer a focus on the economy instead of a focus on Greenland itself.
70% of Americans disapprove of using federal funds to buy Greenland. Americans are also growing increasingly critical of the actions of federal agents and protesters in cities like Minneapolis. 61% of respondents believe ICE is being too tough when they detain people, up from 56% in November. The poll also found 82% of Republicans believe protesters against ICE have gone too far, while 48% of Democrats say they haven't gone far enough. Today on Face the Nation, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem blamed Minnesota leaders, including Mayor Jacob Fry, for the violence.
If he would set up a peaceful protest zone so that these individuals can exercise their First Amendment rights and do so peacefully, we would love that, because then we could work together to make sure we're getting criminals to justice and letting people still express their First Amendment rights.
Moments later, Fry rejected that idea, saying free speech shouldn't be limited, adding ICE agents are not making the city safer.
We are doing everything possible to keep the peace, notwithstanding this occupying force that has quite literally invaded our city.
Nearly 1 year into his second term, Americans say they want the president to focus more on issues here at home, with 74% of Americans saying the Trump administration is not focusing enough on lowering prices. Jerika?
Willie James Edmond traveling with the president. Thank you. Now to the weather. Today, a rare snowfall covered parts of the Sunshine State. The winter blast dropped more snow, as well as temperatures across the Midwest and the East Coast. CBS's Chanel Call is in Tenafly, New Jersey for us tonight with more on that part of the story. Chanel.
And Jerika, you can see the snow-lined trees behind me. Many here in New Jersey enjoying this winter wonderland today. But elsewhere in the country, a very different story where conditions today were dangerous.
Rare snowfall covered parts of the Florida Panhandle Sunday for the second consecutive year in the Sunshine State. As winter storms charged up the East Coast, neighborhoods from southern Georgia to eastern Pennsylvania saw their fair share. In Brockton, Massachusetts, slick roads caused this postal truck to overturn, injuring at least one postal worker. Blizzard conditions made travel treacherous across the plains, reducing visibility to 0 in parts of North Dakota. And freezing rain made roads messy in New York and New Jersey.
We were hoping for more snow so we can go to Vermont and have some good coverage.
The roads looked bad earlier, but they cleaned the roads up nicely.
And tonight, here in the east, the story turns from the snow to the frigid cold, with millions expected to be in a deep freeze for the next few days. Jerika?
Good to know. Chanel Call, thank you. Now let's turn to CBS meteorologist Andrew Kozak with more on what we can expect. Andrew.
Yeah, Jerika, once again, we are tracking more Arctic air moving into the Northeast. It will replace the top headline of snow, up to 3 to 6 inches for the major cities across the Northeast on your Sunday night. Now we replace that with sunny skies, but bitterly cold temperatures that will reach as far south as the Gulf as we get into your Monday and Tuesday. In fact, take a look. I want to show you the split right down the middle. The next 8 to 14 days, basically for the end of the month all the way into February, warmer than average temperatures across the west, across the East Coast. This pattern does continue, so the eastern half of the country still looking like we're going to be in the deep chill for quite some time. I mean, look at tomorrow morning. Wind chills making it feel like 32 degrees in Orlando, 30 as we make our way toward Panama City, and this is where we had some accumulating snow. By Tuesday, it's the Northeast really feeling the chill, where temperatures will be feeling like they are below 0 for places like Philadelphia and New York City. Got some more lake effect snow as we head toward your Monday, and dry weather continues. That's good news for the West Coast. Jerika.
Andrew Kozak, thanks so much. Turning now to a deadly rail crash in Spain. A high-speed train derailed tonight, colliding with an oncoming train. At least 21 people are dead, more than 100 others injured, some of them seriously. Well, this weekend, a giant step towards the United States returning to the moon. NASA's 32-story tall Artemis II rocket was moved to the launch pad at the Kennedy Space Center. The 4-mile journey on top of the crawler took 12 hours. As soon as next month, the rocket could launch 4 astronauts on a 10-day mission, looping around the moon and right back to Earth. Straight ahead on the CBS Weekend News, how the NFL is honoring Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. this weekend. But first, this story.
A historic casino is replacing live dealers with touchscreens. I'm Andres Gutierrez in Las Vegas with the big gamble coming up on the CBS Weekend News.
We are back and heading to Las Vegas. The city's oldest hotel is celebrating its 120th anniversary this month since opening its doors in 1906. That includes a lot of change. CBS's Andres Gutierrez in Las Vegas reports on the push to wow a new generation of cost-conscious travelers.
For a lot of people, this is the Vegas they know. Live tables, real dealers, and the kind of back and forth that's been part of this town for decades.
Want to go once more? Yeah, let it go.
The Golden Gate was one of those places. Small, busy, familiar.
Live dealers and the table games make Vegas. That's why I come here.
But if you walk in today, that experience is gone. The Golden Gate has removed all of its live dealers. Every table game is now electronic. Golden Gate owner and CEO Derek Stevens.
I understand the camaraderie of getting along with a dealer, but I also think there's a lower level intimidation on playing an electronic game. Las Vegas always reinvents itself, and it reinvents itself with new high energy options and new value.
The timing isn't an accident. Data from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority shows the city hosted about 35.5 million visitors last year, roughly 7% fewer than 2024.
I just think that prices in some places maybe got too high. This is our way to try to attract people to our properties and into Vegas.
Electronic table games could attract more cost-conscious gamblers with lower bet minimums.
Is there value to doing an electronic table game versus going to a live dealer?
The future of table games is somewhat limited if every table game is going to have a minimum of a $25 bet associated with it. The electronic table games can get more people into playing table games where you might have a $1, $2, or $3 table minimum.
The Golden Gate is doing giveaways and creating party vibes to get people in the door to place their bets. Are you kind of rolling the dice with this?
You know, in our business, we're always trying to be creative. This is not something you're going to want to do at a massive hotel casino. It's a little bit too risky. But at the Golden Gate, I think the size is right. Maybe you hit a jackpot, then you let the night come to you. There's nothing more Vegas than that.
In a town built on chance, the Golden Gate is hoping this one pays off. Andres Gutierrez, CBS News, Las Vegas.
And I bet you'll like this next story. Still ahead on the CBS Weekend News, the incredible new career milestone for Olympic gold medal gymnast Jordan Childs.
Here she is, Jordan Childs, Yurchenko double full.
Stunning. That is Olympic gold medalist Jordan Childs this weekend. She was awarded a perfect score on the vault, her first ever. Childs is in her senior year at UCLA. She had already achieved perfect scores in floor exercise and uneven bars. The country honors Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. tomorrow for his contributions to the civil rights movement. Ahead of the holiday, the National Football League paid tribute to Dr. King by painting the phrases "Choose love" and "It takes all of us" in opposite end zones for this weekend's divisional round playoff games. The players also wore "Choose Love" helmet decals. Well, some tense moments at the Australian Open today when a ball girl collapsed on court. Take a look at this. You can see the girl falter several times in the Melbourne heat. That's when Turkish player Zeynep Sönmez stopped play and went over to help. She led the ball girl to safety as the crowd cheered. Sönmez later rallied for the win in the deciding set. Next on the CBS Weekend News, a historic homecoming for the North American bison. But first, a look back at this day in history.
Airbus Consortium is the world's biggest aircraft builder now, and as of today, it builds the world's biggest passenger plane.
We end with a milestone in the extraordinary effort to bring back the North American bison. For centuries, they were vital to indigenous life until they were driven to the brink of extinction about 200 years ago. In tonight's Weekend Journal, CBS's Marissa Perlman reports on their long-awaited return to the Illinois prairie.
This story starts just after sunrise on Burlington Prairie. A community caravan returning to land and to home to meet long-lost relatives.
We're gonna sing a song. Welcome, are you relatives?
And then, the moment everyone's been waiting for.
Come on, baby. Oh, hi, beautiful. Wow.
6 bison stepping back onto their homeland.
Hi, babies. Welcome home.
More than 200 years ago, bison roamed freely across Illinois. But as the Industrial Revolution reshaped the landscape, bison disappeared. Now, after decades of careful land management, they're returning in small pockets across their historic North American range. The American Indian Center will steward this herd, and in the spring, they'll be released into a larger fenced prairie to help restore native grasslands.
It's a great thing that they're doing, bringing them back.
Lisa Burnell watched alongside her mother and son. This family says this is something that feels deeply personal.
Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse, like we were always talking about stories and the relationships that we've had with these animals.
They provided us with everything we ever needed.
Tribal elder Robert Wapahi tasked with sharing the importance of that return home with this community and praying over the land where the bison will live.
You're welcoming them back home. That's their home, not mine.
And in their footsteps, a story once broken begins again. Marissa Perlman, CBS News, Burlington, Illinois.
And that is the CBS Weekend News for this Sunday. We thank you so much for watching. I'm Jerika Duncan in New York. Have a great week.